Okay, and we're ready to go. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the La Liga review, match day 26. It's late, but it's great. And Abdullah is smiling. Why are you smiling, Abdullah? Please tell us. Why are you so happy?
I mean, let's start with the obvious.
Okay.
Bartomeu getting arrested and
R-
Real Madrid slipping up to Sociedad to put Barcelona in second place. Absolutely fantastic week.
Wow.
I cannot complain as a Barca fan. If you would have told me plan the week and a half following that PSG defeat, I wouldn't have planned it to unfold in that way. I did not expect that, and I am happy as a fan.
See, I'm happy for you that you're happy, but it's just a small plateau, and then it's just gonna go downhill in the next 2 weeks. So I'm calm.
I
and
mean, I'm I'm
and
I'm,
and I,
I'm
and I
taking
can't wait for those podcasts.
Mhm.
I'm waiting for
Uh,
those ones
no,
next
I'm
week.
I'm I'm
Mm.
taking the Man United fan approach. Just celebrate the moments. We're not a great team. We're not a consistently great team. We can just celebrate moments here and there, like moments when they were joint top on the Premier League. Like you can celebrate stuff like this. So let us celebrate because
Just
there's
how
nothing
you're
else.
joint second.
Yeah, there's no trophies.
You're joint
There's no
second.
trophies.
Yeah. Well, being joint second for a team like Barcelona or Real Madrid is just being the best loser. So hip hip. All right.
Yeah.
So let's start with one of the obviouses. We drew 1-1 to Sociedad, a great team. Uh, but you know, given the fact that they had just been coming off a 4-0 defeat uh, off Man United. No, that was first leg. But they got knocked out of the
They
Europa
drew
League.
uh they drew 0-0 in the
They
second
drew
leg.
0-0. So 4-0 on aggregate. You know, exiting the cup quite in a humiliation. Like it's for Sociedad and Sociedad fans. Um, I think they were expecting a lot of good things because they have a great team. They have a lot of combination of a lot of good players. But what's most disappointing is the goal we conceded. Um, the smallest man in Europe uh, jumping over and scoring a header is slightly painful. And a lot can be said about that. A lot can be said about that formation. Zidane switched to a three at the back right after halftime. Probably because we weren't so great offensively in the first half. Um, but that allowed Casemiro, who's a center defensive midfielder, to fall in as a center back, and that clearly backfired immediately. So yeah, but we were great. I was actually very happy with the way we were playing, and you can always tell after Real Madrid or Barcelona lose a game or draw a game because sometimes there's backlash when they play poorly. You know, there's fury and fire in the media, and everyone's like, scapegoat this guy. This guy was terrible. Blah blah blah. Like for example, after the 4-1, right? People were coming for Barcelona players' heads. Similar thing happens for Madrid players and the team as well. However, after this performance, not a lot could have been said because except for the finishing, it was a great match. I think we laid it all out. Our offense was pretty good. There's a lot to be said about our attackers, with Benzema missing out, Mariano Diaz, the greatest number 7 to ever play football, starting and lasting 60 minutes, and then being replaced by a guy called Hugo Duro. Uh, the guy might as well, go on to score a billion goals and be the greatest. But who is he? No one knows. He's still a mystery. These guys we're playing players that don't have faces on FIFA, that are just, unlocked characters.
Now that is true. But come to think of it, like Madrid did have a good game. They kept on pressing until the last minute, and they eventually scored the goal. You can say that it was pretty lucky.
No, no,
Vinicius'
no, no.
shot.
It wasn't lucky.
No, it
Listen,
was a
listen.
deflection on the hand. Come on.
Okay, no, okay. If we're talking about deflection, yeah, that's one thing. That guy was 5 yards outside the goal and he still managed to hit the defender. Okay, like, s- you know,
Vinicius
it,
Junior,
it's
bro.
not, it's not, it's not lucky that it went in. It's just that maybe Sociedad were lucky that it actually even fell to Vinicius. Because if Asensio got the first touch in, it was just like a toe poke. It's a tap in, from that range, and he's still managing to hit the defender from, like, he had the entire goal in front of him and he still managed to hit the defender. That says everything about his finishing. He is the second best Brazilian young winger that we have. He is far behind Rodrigo, and was very happy to see a couple of players back. Was very happy to see Rodrigo back. Was very happy to see Fede Valverde back. These two are going to be a huge, huge, huge boost for our games against Atleti and our game against Atlanta the second leg, because even though we managed the result without, you know, nine of our first team squad players, I think we'd need them in the second leg and also against the match against Atleti. We'll get to the match against Atleti later, but I just want to talk about how at halftime Zidane crumbled for the first time. Now this is a guy who's won three Champions Leagues, two leagues, right? He's been on a high like for the last 5 years. He's considered up there, top coaches and whatnot, right? In today's game. And against Sociedad, a team that's like ninth or 10th, I believe, right? He wanted to change his tactics. And that, for me as a Madrid fan, causes of concern, because now I have to think, it's like, did Zizou not trust his players, or was he doubting his coaching ability? Now, usually for someone who's won three Champions League, they have some faith in their methodology, right? They're like, okay, we're gonna stick with the system. Crossing, inshallah, right? Like, it was working, and pretty much what we were doing against Sociedad in the last 30 minutes, where we made so many chances. But just this doubt, this, like, I don't know if it's because of pressure, because if his job's under the fire, or is it pressure because we weren't playing well. It was 0-0, and his bad tactical shift allowed us to concede.
I was gonna mention also, like around the 60th minute, Zidane made three subs all at once. He took
Yeah.
out Mariano, Asensio, and Isco, who I thought had a decent game up until that point, and brought in Hugo Duro, Rodrigo, and Vinicius, who later on scored the equalizer. What do you think about that approach from Zidane? Like, I honestly, it reminded me a little of Coman when he panics and brings on three attackers all at once. But instead of, bringing them in the last 10, 15 minutes, Zidane did that in the 60th minute. And it actually yielded results. So what would you say, like, what is your opinion on that approach from Zidane in this game?
Well, um, I don't like. I understand Zidane's approach, because Isco's. I think this was the second game in a row that Isco has started. Okay. And for him, who hasn't played a lot of minutes this season, he was actually good. I think it was like probably the top three games that he had this season, and if players are fit, probably top three games that he's gonna have this season. And I was actually very happy to see Isco. He just needs a trim and a haircut. But apart from that,
He
his
needs, yeah,
game
he needs,
was
he
on
needs, he
point.
needs to stop. Yeah, he needs to stop looking like Pablo Escobar in season 2 of Narcos.
I don't know what's going. Uh, he's one of those players that's always been enjoyable to watch as a football fan. You don't have to be a Madrid fan, or it's just nice to see how he carries the balls. Like, I remember Spain versus Italy when he sent Verratti, like, to the barber shop 10, 15 times, like, in one game. It's just beautiful to watch. So that's why everyone has a soft spot for Isco. That, like, oh, He's gonna come on, do something, shimmy wimmy, like and it'll make him look good, feel good. But in like a fast competitive game, sometimes coaches don't like the shimmy moves and stuff. Like they want results, they want the goal, they want chance creation, and at times when you're not performing your best, those kind of players do get scapegoated. But I'm very happy. Like I think all Madrid fans, myself, even Zidane, must be very happy how Isco's playing, because we'll need him. We'll need him, given that I don't know how much longer we can just rely on a 36-year-old Tony Luka Modric and a 30-year-old Tony Cruz to keep going the way they're going. Thank God they've not been injured or hurt or COVID positive, but uh, you never know, right? It's football, and those guys need rest. Especially Modric. He's 36 years old, man. He can't be starting every single. He can't be starting 40 plus games in this season. So that's disappointing. The decision to bring on Rodrigo was interesting. I would not say like anything about bringing on Hugo Duro or Vinicius, because that's like something similar we saw in the previous match as well versus Atlanta. Okay, that those are pretty much like for like. It's just that Mariano Diaz isn't that highly sought after. He's not, the irreplaceable striker. He's not Benzema, right? He's not someone where like, oh, he's gonna give us something after 80 minutes. It's a hope from him. He's good. He shows a lot of commitment, power, and dedication in the game. He's running at it. Like he brings that passion element that I so do not like to talk about all the time. But with that guy, it's almost uh, it comes with it. So there's no shame in bringing Hugo Duro, a young guy who's probably not going to get more minutes once Benzema's fit after the Atleti game. Vinicius Asensio, I think that's just a straight swap just to get tired legs out of him. Asensio's like he was having the season of his life. He was our best player in this very very poor season. One of our best players. He was like he was up there with I wouldn't say up there, but I'd say he's top five of our players. He was having a good season given that he's been out with injuries and he's never managed to recover. A lot of people call him the tired legs merchant and whatnot, because he would just come on and score in big games, Champions League final, semi-final, against tired legs. But as a starter, he had been doing really, really well, and he had some very, very key performances. So to just recap it, I wouldn't blame it too much on panic on bringing Hugo Duro or Vinicius. I think that's like just a straight swap. However, Rodrigo, a guy who's just coming back from injury, throwing him in there in what would expect a player to give his all rather than just ease him in against like a dead rubber, you know. But that was a risky move by Zidane. But you don't really question the guy who won three Champions League in a row.
You do, but to think of it this way, like Madrid luckily managed to salvage a draw in the last minute, just before the Madrid derby against Atleti,
We could have
who
won. We could have won.
we could have won,
Listen,
but
like last 30 minutes. We should have listen. If that's you
you should
know
have scored a goal in the first half as well. The Mariano
y-
chance in the 20th minute,
yeah,
almost. There was a bunch of chances. I'm not saying you
that's
didn't
true as
create.
well. We
I'm
should
saying
have.
now you drop. I'm saying now you drop points just before the derby against Atletico Madrid, a game in which I will be sitting and grabbing the popcorn and hoping that both teams lose somehow. A draw would
uh
be fantastic in this case for
okay.
Barcelona,
Wouldn't you just
who
be okay? No, but wouldn't you just be rooting for an Atleti loss? Come on, think
yes,
logically, right? Wouldn't you just
yes
want an
and
Atleti
no.
loss? Because if
If
they draw, then Atleti also gets 1 point. That's still
yeah,
one more point.
but here's the thing: Atleti have a tough run of games coming.
Yeah, they
And
do.
if they lose the game against Real Madrid, I think it's going to keep their downward spiral going. And I don't want that to happen. I do not want Atletico out of from first to third in 3 weeks. I do not want to see that happen. What I want to see
That
is
won't happen.
I want to see them gradually drop points, like with draws and stuff, in case Barcelona don't make it, in case Real Madrid compete, and then I'd say, okay, Atletico can actually win the
Wow.
league. In case we can't win it,
Ah,
just so
mm,
Real don't win the league. I'm not gonna lie, Real cannot win the league again this season. If it goes to Atletico, it goes to Atletico, but it cannot go to Real Madrid.
listen,
But having said that, I want Atleti and Real to be a draw. I do not want it to be a nil-nil draw, and I do not want it to be a 1-0 win for Atleti or for Real.
or
I want a 2-2 draw with red cards, a tough game that fatigues both teams. I want a tough game that
players
fatigues
getting
both
suspended
teams for the
left, right, and
next,
center,
exactly, red cards here and
so they
there,
don't play.
injury.
Oh my!
Exactly. So it affects them for the
Never
next
wishing
two,
Real
three
fire.
weeks.
Never. Okay, so I'm sympathetic to your point of view. I get it, but I don't think either teams would be too worried. In honesty speaking, because let's be fair, there's no expectations on Real Madrid to win the league, right? Especially from here. Okay, it's pretty clear. They're the team with no signings. Okay, for virtually 2 seasons if you don't count Hazard, right? They're the team that you know is managing financial like smartness right now because they're going to have a big summer. They're gonna have that summer where they're gonna spend and rebuild and everything. So
Chelsea.
yeah, pretty much like the same Chelsea situation, where Chelsea fans had given up on the season last season. They're just like, summer, we're gonna get Timo Werner. We're gonna similar. The dreams of Mbappe or Haaland or whatever. They're still alive. People Madridistas are just looking forward to 2021, 2022.
They're
Okay,
looking for
because
them shiny new toys. That's
they
it.
definitely they want to see those players grace the new Bernabeu. That's also a different thing, right? Uh, COVID season for Real Madrid has been very dull playing at the Castilla ground, the B sides ground. It's not really been something that is enjoyable for us. You can tell, even on like TV, right? Um, you watch teams play in their stadiums, and you got these big fortresses. You got like Camp Nou, Roman Sanchez, Pizjuan, all these places.
And
They
Real
still,
Madrid, yeah, and Real
and like
Madrid's one
they're playing in,
looks like the Astro.
yeah, it looks like they're playing in a school field, so it's not the same thing. It does not bring the same intimidation to the opponent's teams. Granted, there are no fans, right? I'm pretty sure walking to uh, a very historical stadium itself would give you the chills. You're walking through the corridors, you're looking at 13 Champions Leagues, right? This is the team we're up against. Okay, you see all these trophies, you see like all these legends that have graced this club. That is a psychological thriller for the opponents, and that is something we're missing. So that with the shiny new toys of in like Mbappe, Haaland, or whoever we get, both maybe even, that is something that Madrid fans are looking forward to more. However, uh, Barcelona, you would think, should have been one of the main contenders to win the league, given how they bottled it last season. In my opinion, in last season, I still think that Barcelona lost the league more than Madrid won it.
I
Their poor performances towards the end. I mean, they were clear at one point. I think they were leading until match day 22 or something. So more than halfway through, they're still on top, and then losing one after the other. So uh, that's
we
why
have
there's
to,
a
yeah,
yeah.
we have to take into consideration. Yeah, we started the season with Valverde, then he got sacked mid-season, then Setien came in, then
Yeah,
we
but
dropped the
like,
points. Like,
no, but you
yeah,
sacked a manager and he brought the same results. This is this reactionary management style. Like, okay, fine, but
no,
like,
no, both should have been sacked. Like Valverde should have been sacked a long time ago, not after the Super Cup. It should have been done after Liverpool right away. But They waited until the Super Cup, which was like mid-season in the season after. He should have he should have been sacked, and another manager should have came in the summer
I don't
before. Yeah.
understand the context of sacking a manager after a Super Cup. Like I get it, it's they've made it into this shiny tournament, which is nice. I enjoy it. It's entertaining, but it, after all, it's a preseason thing. It was meant to be a preseason thing. It's still not considered to be a major trophy.
I
So
think they wanted to sack him before the tournament, but they just waited for an event or something like a knockout to just get, cool down the fans'
it makes
response,
no
I guess, to
sense.
the
That
exit.
makes
But
no sense.
doesn't matter. Valverde's gone. We're not really in a much better position, though. No,
I
I'd say
mean,
that we're in a much better position now under Koeman, thankfully, and we could be in a much better position in a week's time after the elections happen on the 7th of March.
yeah. Just before we get to that, which we will, how are you looking at the league table now? With Madrid's draw, because okay, I'm not gonna go with Madrid second, Barca third. I think they're both second in my eyes. Madrid actually has the
Joint
head
second, joint second.
joint second. Yes, let's take the Man United approach. Um,
A lot
but
of Man United inspiration here.
yeah, but like looking at it, right? Madrid have the head-to-head advantage for now until the return fixture of El Clasico, uh, that which will automatically just obviously will win. So it'll turn around.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Automatically.
I'm kidding.
No, you might as well.
But
Those El Clasicos are so unpredictable. Like,
three, 3-1 is it right now, right?
yes, 3-1.
So I think Zizou will play for the head-to-head advantage on that one. Uh, I
It's
think
it's a
so.
long way to go. I guess like Barcelona, if they keep on winning, and I'm sure if they can manage to do that, then Real Madrid are capable of dropping further points. Same thing with Atletico,
Yeah,
but it's
I
just
agree.
about the team that can keep the consistency going further, can keep the rotation well, and keep the players fit until that clutch part of the season. Because this coming part of the season for all three teams is make or break for Diego Simeone, because
Definitely.
every time I've noticed with I'm sorry to divert off the Real Madrid game, but to talk about Atletico, every time Atleti are called favorites or oh, they actually have a shot this time. Every time that happens, they drop form and they crumble. I've noticed
Yeah.
that in the past few seasons, and it's happening again this season. Remember by December when they were on top, and everybody was already thinking, "Oh, Atleti have already had like already won the league."
He won the
But I
league.
was
Yeah,
I
the
was still
league's
saying,
over. Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, Real and Barca are not in their best form, but Atleti, I don't see that invincible team. And we saw how poor they were against Chelsea, and we saw how
Yeah, exactly, right?
in a single week, they gave Barcelona and Real Madrid the chance to get back into the league by dropping
5 points dropped over 2
5 points
games. Yeah.
over two games against Levante. Every time they get into these positions, they choke it, and this is the part for Simeone where he has to pick up the form. And he's beaten Villarreal 2-0 recently. That was a major step forward before the
Yeah.
derby against Real Madrid. But that game, that derby against Real Madrid and the games that follow it is make or break for Simeone. Because if he loses those games, Atletico's season will go from they have a chance to win something to probably rumors about Joao Felix needing to search for a better club to develop
Yeah,
better or
there's
something. You're
always
gonna
those
start hearing
things.
those.
If
So they have to pick up.
yeah,
They have to pick up the form in the next few weeks.
I
Otherwise,
think
their season is
yeah.
over.
I think the Athletic Derby means much more to Atletico. The Madrid Derby means much more to Atletico because uh,
Atleti Derby down. You're already giving them the game.
that was a slip of the tongue. Just because
Freudian
thinking,
slip.
just thinking about it, right? Because if they lose out on that, they're virtually out of all three competitions if they get knocked out by Chelsea. So for them, it's going to be a very interesting 2 weeks as well, just like Barcelona. Okay, because right now it's very very possible. Uh, I'm not here to jinx it because even we're just like a 1-0 lead right now against Atlanta, right? So it could be very possible that two Spanish clubs that are on a losing start but not make it to the next round of Champions League, which will bode well for their league runs, right?
We
But
could
it
also
would be demotivating.
yeah, we could also witness the exit of all Spanish teams from this round if you didn't take
It's
notice.
very possible.
Sevilla have lost the first leg at home 3-2. Atleti have lost at home to Chelsea
One,
1-0.
1-0.
Barca have lost 4-1 to Paris Saint-Germain at home. And Real were the only team that won against Atalanta. So fair
Yeah, but
play
it's
to you
only
guys. I
one
mean,
nil. It was only
it is
one
only
nil
1-0. But
so you can never like. I think if we go out and score a second goal, I think that's it. There's a lot of broken elements in Atlanta right now. Their star player left in January. Their striker got subbed on and then subbed off in the second. Like, there's a lot of broken elements in that game. So, which is the reason why it's boding well to us because when they played against, I believe Liverpool in the group stages, they were very good. They were very good all around. So, I wouldn't put it past them
I
to.
mean, it serves them well not to have a player sent off in the first 20 minutes, but that was a
Yeah,
fair red card. I mean, it was you can say it's a
it's
fair red card.
it's
I'm not
it's.
denying, but
I think I like personally. I think it was soft. Uh,
it was. But like you can make a case that he was 1-on-1, even though there was a defender who was almost
Yeah, but the
near.
defender wasn't like gonna get there,
Yeah,
right? So it's not like, but
and it's
it
still
well
too early.
we'll
I
not
mean,
get into it, but it's a very interesting league run that we're having here. A lot more interesting than the Premier League. So
and
for
also
all the
outside of football, also.
yeah, so
Well,
let's get
there's so
to
much drama, Netflix
outside to
worthy
football,
drama.
which Abdullah's itching to talk about. Like, and I believe I believe he couldn't sleep last night. So Abdullah, so for our viewers who don't know much about football, who don't know, well, even if they know about football, a lot of them won't know about the workings of, you know, Football Club Barcelona. So tell us what's happening and why is Football Club Barcelona so disgraced right now?
I mean, it's kind of exciting to be a Barcelona fan
To
during
see
these
your
past
club
few
disgraced.
weeks. No, no, not disgrace, but
I
there's a
would
chance
say it's
there's
pretty in the mud. Like, I mean, come
it's
on.
it's not the club because like you can direct that disgrace towards a certain set of individuals who got arrested, by the way, yesterday.
Yeah,
The former club president.
so did the current CEO, the current CEO. May I just emphasize the
Mm,
current CEO? That is disgraceful because yeah, I know Laporta got not Laporta, sorry, Bartomeu got arrested, but the fact that your current CEO got arrested is something that's going under the radar.
but he's not our current CEO though,
He
Bartemou.
is. No, not Bartomeu. The current CEO, whoever he is, also got arrested.
The interim Carlos
No,
Tusquets.
no. That guy is the president.
Hmm.
So there's a chief executive officer as well, right? The president is more of the guy who stands up on elections and whatnot. The CEO is the guy who has the inner working of things.
Oh,
That
current chief executive, you mean Oscar
yeah,
Grau?
yeah.
Okay.
So he also got it, like
Mhm. Yeah,
arrested,
yeah.
which is a big deal
You
because
can.
it just shows how deep this corruption, cancer, uh like-mindedness goes into this board, right? Because
Mhm.
it's not only the guys that are coming on that being elected, but it's also those guys that are holding administrative posts from tenure to tenure.
Yes, but at the same time, these guys holding the same posts are not new people that we just hired under a new board. These are remnants of the previous cancer board run by Jose Maria Bartomeu. So these guys haven't been cleared out of the club yet, and that has been there for a reason because the club's elections have been postponed multiple times. But with the elections coming on the 7th of March, Barcelona get a chance to rebuild with a new president, whether that is Juan Laporta, who is the favorite, or Victor Font. Now, the third candidate, Frexia, who was a partner with the two arrested ex-Barcelona presidents, Sandro Rosell and Bartomeu. So this guy's not going to win. And honestly, the fact that he is in he's in the race for the elections is a disgrace on its own. So in that aspect, I would say I would be disgraced that this man is running for presidency with him having connections to Bartomeu, who just got arrested, and Sandro Rosell, who got previously arrested. So it's just, yes, it is sad to think of it that we have had more club presidents arrested in the past 6 years than Champions League titles, but the club is is getting rejuvenated. There is hope of a new president coming in and clearing the cancer out of the club, and it's a good thing that this case has come forward because for those of you who don't know, this Barca gate, it's not a new thing. It happened last year in February when
Yeah.
Bartomeu and his partners in the board of directors of Barcelona were exposed that they were working with a company, I3 Ventures, a social media company, in smearing a potential smear campaign against certain players like Lionel Messi and Gerard Piqué and other celebrities or known people that are against Bartomeu and his board. So he was using he was paying this company out of the club's money, and he was paying them 600% more than they should have at the rate. So there was a case of a possible money laundering in there, corruption, and other things as well, because they've managed to hide this deal with I3 Ventures, the media company, under the rug until it was exposed last year. But of course, Bartomeu and the club came out to deny those. But since Bartomeu left the club, this case has been running and has been investigated by the Catalan police. And they came yesterday with the news and barged into the club and arrested four members, including Bartomeu, which spread like wildfire on social media because when you think of all these members in the club, when you think of all the corruption, all that's happened in the past few years at FC Barcelona, how the club has turned from the sextuple winning club in 2009, treble winners, the football we played under Guardiola, Luis Enrique, and you think how has this been happening? How has this team managed to win everything despite everything that's going behind the scenes? And it makes you appreciate in terms of me as a Barcelona fan and a person who's been following Barcelona for so long, it makes you appreciate the football that this team has played throughout what's been happening these past few years under a corrupt board of director that has sold the club down the drain and has brought us to this point where we're being constantly embarrassed in the knockout phases of the Champions League, where we we are not even able to keep our best player Messi after disrespecting so many legends. The club has been down the drain, and it's time for a change, and that change is coming on the 7th of March when the elections happen, hopefully. But let's not get too ahead of
That's
ourselves in
okay.
terms of
That's great. Very politically motive and not biased at all. But before we get into that, you mentioned something very interesting, which I'm bewildered at. Like I understand the political stance of a lot of cues, and I understand where the club is coming from. But
coolest, not cues.
they're cues to me. But okay, cool is
Cue.
me no hablo Catalan or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah. So what's his face? What has the president got to do with bottling leads in the Champions League knockout stages? I'm bewildered. Like I'm confused. What is the link there?
mm, from so many aspects, the way club has been managed, the transfers, who the coaches, the firings, the instability, the toxic atmosphere around the club, so many other aspects that happen behind the scenes that
Okay, no,
Barcelona
I'm
as a
gonna
club,
stop you. I'm gonna
the
stop you right there.
atmosphere is a massive part of a club
Okay,
being successful. And you know that.
listen,
Certainly
I
know that
agree.
with Zidane and the way he's managed the dressing room in
Sure,
Real Madrid.
I
And
agree
the
to you.
way the Barcelona, the way that the way that the Barcelona locker room was at the days of Pep Guardiola, that separated us from a lot of clubs. But that locker room, that atmosphere that we had no longer existed under Rosell and Bartomeu when the club was involved in multiple scandals, smear campaigns. Imagine being a club hiring a media company to smear your own players and your own icons, legends, anyone that speaks up against the club president. Imagine being at that point and not just, not paying them like at standard market rate. You're paying them 600% more than the actual rate.
Maybe they were
So
working 6 times as harder.
um, Obviously, because they were trying to clean up Bartomeu's image in front of the media, and it clearly worked for so long because it baffles me how long he managed to stay in power until, and it's too late. Like he got out, but it's too late. The damage has been done
So
to the club.
are you not happy with the transfers made with
Which
like
ones are we talking about? There's so
in
many.
under Bartomeu?
Um, I didn't create a list of negative and positive transfer lists, but
No, just like
the
going
list
over
is
the
pretty shocking when it comes to failed
just
transfers,
going
and
over the transfers that have been made, right?
not just the transfers,
The
the
big
treatment.
blockbuster ones like Griezmann, Dembele, Coutinho, you know, these guys. Like, are you not happy with those, or like what's the deal? Because I'm pretty sure Barcelona fans were pretty charged with all of these transfers. Not so much about Dembele's, but everyone else, you know, Coutinho, Griezmann, people were like charged, like, oh, we're actually getting, you know, great players, world class players. So is it
But
just now that they haven't worked out, or they're taking time that this sentiment has built up to?
no. It's not a recency thing. It's not just the players that we're being brought in. Of course, we as Barcelona fans, we know how world class Antoine Griezmann is, or how world class Coutinho was when we brought them in. No one is saying that we didn't want them in. I wanted Coutinho in. I was happy when he was in. Griezmann, same thing with almost every signing, almost, except ones that didn't make sense. But here's the thing: these players were brought in with no plan, with no structure, with no future at the club, and they've been told that there is a place for them at the club. But when they were brought in, they play under a manager, and then that manager gets sacked in 6 months, and there's a new manager that expects them to play a new role. So when these players were signed and the amount of money that was paid for them, like Griezmann, you have to have a plan where this player is going to fit into your future as a football club. If you're signing someone who, like, for example, Frankie de Jong, for example, when the club brought
Yeah,
him in, he was brought in to be a Busquets replacement. He was brought in to be Iniesta's replacement. I'm not sure. There is no clear, like, reason why he was brought in. He was just brought in because he was a fantastic talent at Ajax and had a world-class season with them, reaching the semifinals, and almost reaching the finals, having a fantastic season. Of course, no one's denying this talent, but there is no sporting planning project at this club, and that's why you see Lionel Messi thinking about leaving the club. And we came back to this point before. I told you if it was about the money, Lionel Messi could have received triple, double the amounts of money that he's
yeah,
receiving at Barca at multiple clubs, and
for
way long
sure,
ago.
for
He
sure.
was getting those contracts a long, long time ago, way before the big deals that he's getting at Barca that a lot of people have been criticizing. So it's not about the money for Messi. It's about a sporting project, and Barcelona do not have that. And Bartomeu, that's the role of the board. That's the role of a board managing the club, and that's how it works at Barca. The youth team has been neglected. The transfers have been shaky. The board of directors, there's sackings and firings all the time. There's lack of stability in the board. Abidal comes in, he gets sacked, he gets into fights with the players. The top of the hierarchy are spreading rumors about certain players because these players disagree with the way the club has been run. It's a hectic, chaotic, toxic environment to be in as a player. And then add to that the fact that some of these board members are blaming Messi. They're telling me, we as a club, we treated your problem when you were young, and we made you into the player that you are. How dare you now demand for a bigger contract or demand to leave the club? So making the guy feel guilty for thinking about his future and his best interest when he deserved it. He should have left ages ago, if you ask me, in terms of if he was actually thinking about the betterment for his future. If he wanted his individual success, he should have left 3 years ago. He should have left ages ago, and he could have, and he would have won everything. And the same thing comes with the national team that he selected. If he just chose to play for Spain, he would have had World Cups and Euros
Yeah,
to
I'm
the
pretty sure
to
you
the
would
day
have.
it ends. He would
Yeah,
have won everything with the Spanish team. And it comes down to another thing. I think loyalty has really hurt Lionel Messi's career in terms of course, like we're talking about Messi, he's accomplished so much. I'm not trying to make it that he's been, unfairly, he hasn't won anything or he's been unjustly treated or something, but
pretty
it's
sure he's won a
still
couple
sad.
of things here and there.
Exactly. So I'm not trying to make a claim that he hasn't, but it's just that he could have won way more. It's crazy when you think of it, when you think of the decisions that he could have made in terms of pinning his loyalty for thinking about his personal interest earlier in his career. Like he should have not gone through what Barcelona have went through in the past 3 4 years. He did not deserve those humiliations, and if he left before that, he would have not received those. And it's just sad that there's a potential that he's going to leave, and the way he's going to leave, he's not going to get the farewell that he deserves, or it's not going to be in the way that it should for a player of his stature and the greatest player of all time, in my opinion, the greatest player in FC Barcelona history. At least we can agree on that. And the way he's possibly, if he's gonna leave, is gonna leave is sad. I mean, with no fans, no standing ovations, no Champions League since 2015, attacked by the club's president, smear campaigns against him, so many issues that he could have simply avoided if he just neglected his loyalty for the club and chose his personal interest. But he didn't, and that's why I have respect for him. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you idiot, you should have chosen your personal interest. And he would have had 10 Ballon d'Ors by now if he did.
And maybe even more. He's played for a very long time. Um, okay. So to recap, in the recent Barcelona failures, right? I'm saying 2015 onwards. I'm talking about 2016 versus Juve, 2017, 2018, Roma, Liverpool, Bayern. How much percentage of the blame would you put it on the board? Because
In
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, if we're talking about who they've hired as a manager and how the manager is dealing with them as well, because we have to think also of Valverde and who he was to the board as well. He was a puppet to the board. So was many other managers under this current board, because you're either a puppet or you get sacked. Uh, there's no two ways around it. Or you're Luis Enrique, who breaks out of the mold and brings something different to the table and is a well-respected club legend that they can't say anything to him. And he had the success, brought it in his first season, so they could not do anything to him. And then when he started falling off at the end, that's when he left on his terms. So a lot of these managers come in who are hired with no personality on purpose, so they don't challenge the board. So a guy like Valverde shouldn't have been coaching Barcelona. These defeats, if we had a better board, that Liverpool game would not have Ernesto Valverde as coach. If like I can't I
Like
can't
okay,
I can't organize my thoughts in the way to describe to you the things that it's like a domino chain of events that have happened because of the board and the way that the club has been managed in terms of
so
so many aspects. It's a
I'm just
massive
gonna
topic.
go
I don't know where
into
to start,
okay,
honestly.
I'm just gonna go into a little bit of ridiculousness here. But
Hmm.
if you're telling me if Barcelona had like a competent board, right? Barcelona would know how to defend corners.
It's not. It's not a like.
I'm just saying
It's not. It
it
doesn't
was
correlate.
listen,
Like it's not.
it
It's
was
not. It's not
always
about that.
it was
It's not that
except
they would
for
have
the Bayern.
defended corners or they would have
Okay,
avoided a certain goal.
because
It's
if you
not
think
in
it,
that way change of impact.
yeah,
It's a club that's been run into the ground. Like in terms of the club we were and the way that everything has changed under this current board. Club legends are being outed from the club. That's why Pep Guardiola left as soon as Rosell came in, and he realized what kind of people he's dealing with. So when club legends like even Cruyff was removed from his post as honorary president when
honorary
Rosell
president.
came, so
Yeah,
you see these guys, Rosell and his goons, Bartomeu, they have cancelled everything the club has always stood for, the youth academy, the way we played, everything that we had. They've changed, went more towards sponsorship, neglected the youth, started loaning them out, not giving them chances, losing talents from the B team, signing big massive signings instead of, like I said, giving the youth a chance. A lot of things that made you fall in love with the club and feel like this is more than a club, Mesque and Club, you know, have been lost. These values have been lost under this current board of Barcelona. And you've seen how disconnected the players in the locker room has become over the past few years. It has turned from a locker room that is united under a certain coach like Pep Guardiola or Luis Enrique, where everyone is listening and believes in the coach and is playing for that coach, to a bunch of big friends in the locker room, into small bubbles that are divided in the
there's
locker room.
no
So that
coherence in the team
there's no
anymore.
coherence. It feels like PK, Alba, Roberto, they're in their own bubble with Busquets. And then you
And then
have
the French,
Griezmann.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's divided into small
Okay.
groups. That is the problem, and it just highlights how the club has been in terms of the state of it. It has been divided into people blaming players. It has people divided into people blaming the board. It has divided
Yeah.
into the board managing the media, promoting themselves and acting like everything is fine. And of course, the curse of the 2015 treble, where Bartomeu could have been voted out as a president, but Barcelona won that season, won the treble, and everyone thought the club was in its best state. So Bartomeu defeated Laporta in the 2015 elections, and that's when the club went to shit, basically, because the dumb board members, excuse my language, the dumb board members thought that the club was fine because we won a treble, even though the foundations were already crumbling before, and the treble came and covered everything with a
It
nice
was
sweet layer.
it
It
was
was a
just a
sweet layer,
plaster over cracks, yes.
a sweet layer that lasted a total of 10 minutes. And then you realized, oh, no, the club is in much deeper problems. The
Okay.
mentality of the club has changed. There's so many things that have to change at the club in order for us to bounce back again and return to
So
Europe's elite.
yeah, my last question is just gonna be let's say an angel comes tomorrow and fixes Barcelona up, right? FC Barcelona are back to pre Sandro Rosal days. They are back when they respected traditions, you know, they had all these things going on. Uh, how long do you think, if it starts tomorrow, how long will it take to get back to that pinnacle? Get back to that club where you as a Barcelona fan can recognize that, oh, this is a club that shares my values.
It's not going to take 6 months. It's going to take long. It's going to take a year or two to rebuild this club. But here's the thing: a club like Barcelona, I'm not saying we have to build from zero. I'm not saying we have to sell the entire base of players, because there's a lot of quality in our squad. That's not the problem. There's a lot of quality. There's a lot of young talents that are being developed in a way that I like, and are being given minutes that they really deserve, and are proving to everyone that, you know what, they're not just youngsters. They're prepared to start for this club, and they're prepared to represent this club at the elite, in the elite tournaments. So we have the players, we have the base. So it's going to take us shorter than, let's say, I don't know. I can't bring up an example of a team that needs to rebuild at the moment, but not many people.
Half of
But
Europe needs a rebuild right now.
oh yeah, maybe. But like, I can't, like, in terms of Barcelona coming back. We can still win trophies whilst rebuilding. So I'm not going to say the rebuild has
The
to be
quality is
zero
definitely
trophies.
there. The
Hmm.
quality is definitely there. You still have quality. It's not that. Yeah.
It's just we need to have a sporting plan. We need to have a manager that we stick by, that we don't hear rumors about them being replaced by Mikel Arteta in February in March of 2021, like we're hearing right now with Ronald
Well,
Koeman.
that's only because Xavi signed an extension.
Did he? He signed an extension with Al Sadd?
Yeah. So
When was that recent?
no, that was like beginning of last season, right? He signed a.
Oh, but it was
s-
for a year, so it expires in the summer.
Oh, okay. It just was just an
Yeah.
year.
He,
Hmm.
he signed
Interesting.
he signed that literally just to say no to Bartomeu, not to Barcelona. He signed that deal with Al Sadd because, if you remember back then when we were trying to replace Valverde, we were going for Xavi, and
Yeah.
Abidal flew to Qatar to negotiate the deal, but apparently Xavi said no, and then he went on to renew his deal with Al Sadd for another year. So it was pretty obvious what Xavi wanted. He knew the elections would come by then, and there would be a different president. And he didn't want to say no to Barcelona. He wanted to say no specifically to the corrupt Jose Maria Bartomeu, who is hopefully
There
rotting
you
in
have
jail
it,
at the
ladies and
moment.
gentlemen. Whether it be Xavi Hernandez at the helm of Barcelona next season, or Mikel Arteta, or even Ronald Koeman, um, three great midfielders, just you know, walking into the coaching dugout. Perhaps we might even be lucky to see all three.
Oh
If
no,
somehow
no.
Bartemou, he can't win the elections, but maybe one of his goons stays on and you know keeps up the roulette. Maybe we'll see all three managers in the dugout. Well, this has been an interesting episode. I hope you guys have learned all about Barca Gate, and it coolays frustration regarding the subject.
There's probably better explanations than the one I gave, but
There
there's more
probably
details
are.
about the amounts and certain amounts that were paid and the way those like the way the case was investigated despite what was it? Despite it being covered up by Bartomeu and being denied by the club last year. There's so many interesting details that I encourage everyone to
Well, there
honestly
you
just
have it,
read up on.
guys. If after this
Saucy
video you
drama.
still have time to watch other things, then I'd implore you. And that's that from us at the two halves La Liga review for Matchday 25, with a slight episode on Barca Gate and current Barcelona political situations. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a like. Let us know what you think about Barca Gate, Madrid dropping points, and the point table of La Liga right now. Leave that in the comment below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, we'll catch you in the next half.